Hey guys, welcome to the video. So the idea of this is who actually wants loot from Razorgore the Untamed. This is the first boss in Blackwing Lair. So we're going to go over each piece of loot that he drops, and we're going to talk about what exactly do people want from Razorgore. Who wants this gear? And is this stuff that you should spend your DKP on? Is this stuff that your guild should prioritize to certain people over other people, or is this just stuff that's like trash? What is it? So exactly what is this gear and who needs it? All right, so let's talk about these bracers, okay? We're going to talk about the tier bracers for priests. This is the Bindings of Transcendence. So healing priests are going to want this. These are amazing. These are going to be your gear you're going to wear basically for this entire phase. The Bindings of Transcendence will want this. It's perfectly statted for healing, and it's the best healing bracers in the game for priests, I think. It's unquestionably, okay? Shadow priests, you're not going to want these bracers. Okay, you're going to upgrade whatever you're currently wearing. You're not going to want these bracers off Razorgore. You're going to want the bracers of arcane accuracy, and they drop off Broodlord Lash Lair. So if you're a Shadow Priest and they want their tier gear, it's best to make them wait, make them wear something else. It's not worth giving them this. This is not good for damage, okay? All right, so let's talk about the Netherwind Bindings. These are the Mage tier 2 gear, okay? Mages, you're going to want this piece. And it's not your best in slot. That's just a note, okay? So the best in slot, unless you're wearing all 8 out of 8, which some people are considering best in slot. Some people are saying it's fun to wear 8 out of 8 tier 2 for mages, so probably that. The one thing to note about this is the bracers that are considered best in slot are extremely contested. These are the bracers of arcane accuracy. They're extremely contested. So you have a pretty simple thing. You only have to fight your other mages in your guild or other mages in the raid in order to get these bracers. So these are a easy upgrade, right? As opposed to the bracers of arcane accuracy, which are objectively better. But these are simpler to get. So mages, you're going to want these bracers for your DPS needs. All right, guys, for the Nemesis bracers, talking about Warlock gear. The Warlocks, you're going to want these over your Molten Core gear, okay? The highly contested and sought-over bracers that we've talked about, bracers of arcane accuracy, they have better stats for any Warlock not interested in their 8-set bonus, so go for those if you can. But again, the Warlock gear, it's not terrible, and the set bonuses are pretty okay? They're not your best in slot, but they're not as contested as the everybody wants them that's a caster bracers of arcane accuracy. All right, rogues, here's your Bloodfang bracers back here on this beautiful boy. And, you know, they're good. They're good to go, these things. Basically, these are the best bracers for rogues in the game. Get them, love them, wear them. Good to go. All right, guys, so the Storm Rage bracers, these are the Druid tier 2. Resto Druids, you're going to want this tier piece. They have healing on them. You like them. Boomkins, you're going to pass on this piece in favor of something with more offensive stats. The highly contested bracers of arcane accuracy are more akin to what you want. Feral Druids, both cat and bear, you will look to other pieces for your wrist guards. Okay, Black Mist arm guards from Ubers are still very strong, and the wrist guards of stability for just raw armor and strength from Molten Core. All right, let's talk about Hunter tier gear, okay? Hunter wrist guards. These are the Dragon Stalker's bracers. Hunters, you're going to want this tier gear. Basically, you're going to want it. If you don't have the tier gear, if you're not going to wear your tier gear set, there's some wrist guards of True Flight from Molten Core that are pretty good with 1% hit on them. But most hunters are going to wear all 8 pieces of tier gear, so you're going to want your wrists. Get your wrists. Be happy, okay? Okay, we got the bracers of 10 storms for Shaman tier gear, all right? Resto Shamans, you're going to want this. Pretty common for every healer to want their tier gear. Resto Shamans are going to want these early to complete their 3-set bonus. Get that bonus chain healing in. These stats also work on this bracers for Elemental. Like, there's no bonus healing on them, but there's also no bonus spell power, so maybe not so great. There's no real wasted stats on these for Elemental except maybe Spirit, but then you can get, you know, mana provide from Spirit if you don't cast. But, you know, they're okay. You're going to get some... So Elemental might want these, but they're not great. If you want to, as Elemental, you can try for the bracers of arcane accuracy. I've said it a couple times in this video. but they're going to be highly contested caster bracers, okay? So if you want that hit percentage from those cloth caster bracers, every caster is basically going to want those, so you just got to be careful. These are a much easier option for you to get because you only have to compete with your healer shamans. If you're enhancement shamans, you're not going to want these. You're going to want to look for the Risk Guards of True Flight or the Risk Guards of Stability, both from Molten Core, okay? Go look for those. Okay, Paladins, let's talk about the Judgment Bindings, okay? The Holy Paladins, you're going to want these. Prot Paladins, you're going to want these. Ret Paladins, Spell Paladins for sure. If you're going the Spelladin build, you're going to want these. The Loomguard Arm Bracers from Kurtonos the Herald and Scholomance are really strong healing bracers if you don't get your healing tier gear. But basically, there's better healing gear for healers, but there's this idea that if you get the tier gear, you can actually maybe go solo some mobs in the world as a healing paladin. You don't necessarily need to wear a bunch of different sets of gear to be able to do different things. So, tier gear for paladins, mostly everyone wants it. And of course, it looks beautiful, so you're going to want it. And then if you're a Prot Paladin, of course you want these. Ret Paladins focused on physical damage are probably the only Paladin that doesn't really need these. Okay, the Risk Guards of Stability from Molten Core are a very strong option for you. If you're focused on strength, those are really strong, okay? I mean, no pun intended, but pun intended now that I realize there's a pun. Okay, and then finally, the last piece of tier gear we'll talk about from Razorgore. Bracelets of Wrath for warriors. Your tanks, you're going to want these. These are really good, they're just strength and stamina. That's all they are. They're strength and stamina, but they get you closer to the set bonuses, right? DPS warriors, you'll have a strong option, again, with the Risk Guards of Stability. If you want that strength and stamina, but you want strength, then you're going to get those. These are going to be really good PvP Risk Guards, by the way. They have a ton of stamina on them, and then just some strength on them. So, they're going to want them for that. Warriors, that's what you want them for. If you're tanking, you definitely want them. DPS, nah, not so much, but I mean they're not bad. They're not terrible. They're pretty good, and they got a lot of stamina on them if you want to PvP with them. So let's talk about the Hunter trinket that drops off Razorgore. It's called the Arcane Infused Gem. It's kind of a silly trinket, okay? So it's not very good mathematically for your single target DPS. It's an okay, kind of weird trinket to wear, but it doesn't really do much, especially because Hunters have options for AoE, okay? So this is similar to, the only thing I can think of that's very close to it would be something like the mini cannon you get from Stratholme Live, from the cannon boss, or the Ramstein's lightning bolts that on a 5-minute cooldown do around 200 damage around your character. So it adds your AoE arsenal. It allows you to do more AoE damage if you really need that on a cooldown. But those other ones are about 5-minute cooldown. This is a 2-minute cooldown. It's not too terrible if you're just going to go straight AoE, but I would never recommend really wearing this item. It's kind of a meme item. If you wear it with spell power, it does even more spell power damage. And the only real edge cases that people have said it's been really useful in is interrupting Arathi Basin flag caps, or if you're interrupting an Alterac Valley flag cap, you can arcane shot into there, and it'll hit one person, it'll detonate and hit everybody that's trying to cap that flag, and you stop the flag cap. That's one use for it. But again, it's just kind of a goofy trinket. It doesn't really have a lot of single target utility, and even AoE target. It's only on a 2-minute cooldown. You get 200 bonus damage. Yeah, it's okay. It does some AoE. You get a bonus AoE. If you really need the AoE to clear a lot of trash, first off, what are your mages doing? But second, there you go. You got it. If you really need this AoE, there it is. It's no one really wants it, but it's there. All right, now we can talk about a Warlock trinket that drops here. It's called the Black Book, okay? It's going to empower your pet and make your pet do more damage, increase your pet's armor for 30 seconds, and then it affects the Imp, the Succubus, the Voidwalker, or the Fell Hunter. 5-minute cooldown. Not a very great trinket. It's okay. It's good. It gives you DPS, so you can use it. But in most situations, a lot of these trinkets from this entire instance are very strange and weird, except for the mage trinket, the shaman trinket. Some specific trinkets are really good, but they're not DPS increased trinkets. This one's decent for a fight that's 30 seconds, although it's questionable whether it's DPS increase. Because a lot of times you're sacrificing your pet. If you don't have a pet, then you're just not going to do anything. It's okay for killing elites. Maybe you want to kill something out in the world. You're going to have your pet do a really annoying thing in PvP. It can be really obnoxious because it's going to be really tanky in PvP for 30 seconds. And it's going to be able to hit people really hard. It's got some cases, but if you're a Warlock and you can pick it up cheap for no DKP or just rolling on it, go ahead. But, you know, I don't know. It's there. It's a thing. Maybe you shard it. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about the first item that's not tier gear, is not a weird trinket. Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal. So this item is going to be the first item, I think, that's going to cause a little bit of drama. People are going to really want this, especially your caster DPS, okay? Caster DPS are going to want these shoulders. You may even have some priests, healing priests, who want these because they're stuck with cloth, and these actually have the most bonus healing of any cloth item in the game right now. The problem, though, is these are slightly better than tier gear in bonus healing, but the tier gear is so well statted for healing priests, I would not give these to a healing priest. Let me say it again. Do not give these to a healing priest, okay? Don't give it to a healing priest, okay? This is for caster DPS. It's considerably better for caster DPS. It'll do more for your raid as a caster DPS item. Don't give it to holy priests. If you don't want to give it to druids, you don't want to give it to shamans for healing, because there are better shoulders for those guys, and it's for paladins as well. There's better shoulders that have healing on them that those guys can get. You do not need to give these shoulders to them or to priests, okay? So no healers. These are DPS caster priests, or these are DPS caster shoulders. Elemental shamans, you don't need these either. You have the deep earth spalders from Molten Core. Resto shamans don't need it. They have wild growth spalders. And their tier gear, you can go with Earth Fury Epaulets or the Epaulets of 10 Storms. Boomkins, you're going to want these. Watch out, Boomkins. You're going to try to get these really highly contested gear. Good luck. Resto Druids don't. They have Wild Growth Spalders on their tier gear. Storm Rage Pauldrons or the Cenarian Spalders. Obviously, those are tier. Shadow Priests, you're going to want these if you're Shadow. These are sexy, nice shoulders. You're going to want those. Healing Priests don't. Again, don't. Healing Priests, no. Mages, you're going to want this, especially if they're not getting their 8 out of 8 tier 2. Warlocks, you're going to want these as well. Basically, every caster DPS wants these. All right, guys? Okay, let's mention these, the Gloves of Rapid Evolution. Okay, these are some really heavy stats on these gloves, but they don't fit into many item sets. Okay, anyone who utilizes Spirit Regen may want these. They're loaded with spirit, all right? But don't expect much drama or fighting from anyone trying to get these gloves. They're just they're just stats, and there are a lot of them, spirit especially. All right, let's talk about Spine Shatter, this mace. It's a tanking mace. It's got really good stats on it, okay? It's comparable probably to Quel'Serrar, so all your tanking warriors are going to want this nice, fat, juicy mace. It's going to generate slightly more rage. There's calculations done. Just a tiny bit more rage than Quel'Serrar if you're using this. But then again, you have to ask yourself if you want Quel'Serrar's proc, if you want this flat stats. They're about equal. Depending on the encounter, you're basically going to... Either one you use, you're going to be good in. But yeah, tanks are going to want this. It's a really nice mace. All right, here it is finally, guys. The Untamed Blade, the first two-hander in Blackwing Lair. It is a two-handed sword. Unless you're getting trash gear. But this is a great two-hander, okay? It's got a strength proc on it. The proc is massive. If you combine this with Crusader and both proc, you are going to be hitting really, really hard if you're using a two-handed sword wielder, okay? Warriors probably see this in PvP. Rep Paladins, if you're going strength, you're going to want this thing. If you're a rep strength Paladin, look, get it, gooded, got it, great. Warriors and Paladins, of course, is a sword. Humans get the weapon skill bonus with that. Alliance Warriors, you're going to want to go dual wield, though, because dual wielding does better DPS now in Blackwing Lair. You're going to have the gear for it. But Horde, you're probably going to be orcs. You're going to be wanting axes. Ragnaros weapons, you're going to want those over this. The Bone Reaver's Edge, guys, hey, it's a sword. I know it's not an axe, but it's still, like, best in slot. If you can get a Bone Reaver's Edge, you're going to want that over this. But this weapon is obviously the first boss in Blackwing Lair, probably a little bit easier to get to than Ragnaros. If you can kill Ragnaros, then you're good to go. Drake Talon Cleaver is going to be an Orc Warrior's wet dream for Phase 3, by the way. Unless you have the Bone Reaver's Edge, and then you're good to go forever. So just get the Bone Reaver's Edge, guys. Why don't you just get that really rare drop rate Bone Reaver's Edge, guys? Why don't you just do that? Huh? What? Huh? Let's go.